Does anyone care about being treasurer? Because Wayne has been treasurer of one. I would think it makes sense to have him be treasurer of both organizations. I mean, it's a job with no work whatsoever. I think Wayne can handle it.
He's done a great job so far.
It's a job with no work whatsoever.
I got a good one.
It's like Larry's voting on it.
We're starting to join operating committee meeting Tuesday, May 4th, 2021. Will everyone please stand and salute the flag?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Giglio,
Here.
Mrs. Rule, Pop,
Here.
Mr. Cashwire,
Here.
Mr. Stoffer,
Here.
Ms. Morelli Johnson, Mr. Perry,
Here.
Ms. Legeros,
Here.
Mrs. Dollar, here, Mrs. Castelman here, and Mrs. Harris.
Here. Number 2, board member comments and visitors' comments on the agenda items.
I just want to make my usual statement that public comments for this virtual meeting were accepted by phone or email. There were instructions on our school's website. And as of 5 p.m. today, and actually even later, because I can see my emails, there have been no comments submitted.
The president's remarks and executive meeting was held prior to tonight's meeting for the purpose of discussing personnel matters. Presentation, none. Students representation reports, none. Minutes, approval of minutes for May 6, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that we will approve the minutes for April 6, 2021. All those in favor?
Aye.
It's approved by the members. Number 7, financial action items. From 7.1 to 7.5.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second, roll call.
I just, before we make the roll call, I just want to say that we did have one more invoice that I added. It's in your folders. Mr. Giglio,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Cashwire,
Yes.
Mr. Stoffer,
Yes.
Mr. Perry,
Yes.
Ms. Legeros,
Yes.
Mrs. Downer,
Yes.
Mrs. Stelnick, yes, and Mrs. Harris.
Yes. Administration recommends the approval of 2021 to 2022 Steel Center's budget. Number 7.6 to 7.9.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. Roll call.
Mr. Giglio,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Cashwire,
Yes.
Mr. Stoffer,
Yes.
Mr. Perry,
Yes.
Ms. Legeros,
Yes.
Mrs. Downer,
Yes.
Mrs. Castelnick, yes, and Mrs. Harris.
Yes. Administrative action items. items 8.1 to 8.2.
I move items 8.1.1 to 8.2.4.
Second.
Or, yeah. Yeah.
Roll call.
No, 8.2.4.
8.
Mr. Giglio,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Cashwire,
Yes.
Mrs. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Stoffer,
Yes.
Mr. Perry,
Yes.
Ms. Legaros,
yes,
Mrs. Downer,
Yes.
and Mrs. Costello.
Yes. Items 8.3, 8.3.1.
So moved.
It's been properly moved. Second roll call.
Giglio,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Cashwire,
Yes.
Mr. Stoffer,
Yes.
Mr. Perry,
Yes.
Ms. Legaros,
yes,
Mrs. Downer,
Yes.
Ms. Delnick, yes, and Mrs. Harris.
Yes. Items 9, facilities, action items, none.
Can I ask a question on the facilities? We had HHSVR revising the program. Do we know where we're at with that?
Yes. So as we speak, actually, from 7 o'clock till probably 8:30, they're attending one of our meetings. For the last 3-4 weeks, they've been attending we've been holding our spring occupational advisory industry partnership committee meetings. And we've had Matt at most of those meetings, sometimes he had someone else cover to get feedback from our industry partners and our teachers. I've attended, either myself or Mrs. White have also attended all those. She's actually, the electrical construction meeting's happening right now, and she's attending that one. So Matt and I are working together for the June board meeting. We're going to have an update regarding the programmatic additions or modifications to the existing living plan document. And then based on the information we reported, I think in February, we're going to be pushing forward with a proposal in August regarding incorporating programmatic changes into the facility study, which a lot of it is already, we're updating it for the projects that have been done. But Matt wasn't available to be here. He's out of town this week. And again, we've been attending meetings, even virtually, which is one of the nice things. You have an option of doing these days. Whenever there's nothing able to be present, they're able to be here virtually. So, but we have been following through with that this past month.
Superintendent of record report.
Nothing. I gave a report at exec session. Thank you.
Solicitor report.
I have no report this evening. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. Information items, 12.1.
Yep, thanks, everyone. I appreciate everyone's support on the items tonight. While we just mentioned facilities, I wanted to point out in the joint operating committee brief that you received in your packets under page 4, operations, we discussed it last month, adding on a couple of additional lighting upgrades to the parking lot lighting. The difference was reported in that document. It was $2,823 just to add on those 2 additional lights. Within the rest of the JOC report, we continue to just provide our updated information regarding COVID-19 operations and things that have changed. The one thing I wanted to point out, and this number actually has changed since last week, I think we're approaching 450 student applicants for next year. Normally this time of year, we have around 350. So it's very positive, a very positive development that despite the COVID-19 barriers that we've had for our normal, we didn't do the field trip for kids coming in buses to come tour the school, the virtual tours, the promotional videos, all those other efforts. And I really give, all the credit to our student services team, Mr. Hinkle, our counselor, Shelley Hartman, who assists in that department as our data specialist. She also supports that, our special ed teachers. the fact that we're sitting here after going through a year like this, where we brought small groups of students in for individualized tours, but not anywhere near what we normally do. It might be 5% or less of what we would normally have kids coming to the building. To be sitting with about 100 additional applications than we normally have is incredible. And I think some of that has to do with the new programs. We don't have we're maybe a week behind in ratifying or finalizing the program enrollment slots, what students are going into this program. But I just wanted to point that out. And again, really credit our team that's working on that. The other thing I want to mention is you're going to be given a link to a survey to take, as will our superintendents, principals, counselors, district folks that interface with us as part of our comprehensive plan that's due in November. We've utilized a committee of folks that are industry partners and community partners that serve on the Executive Advisory Council. We've developed surveys. There's a survey for students to take, parents or families to take, and one we've grouped together educational, business, and community partners to take this other survey. That's going to help inform our comprehensive plan. And we've actually gone beyond the state required comprehensive plan mandates to open our strategic plan, have an actual full strategic plan, which will include technology updates, facilities updates, obviously, marketing, the school, things that are not normally covered in the PDE document that we have to submit. But that survey is going to be really important whenever we send it out to you, and it's going to come out probably this week. We have it ready to go, but I wanted to just have an opportunity to share it with you before you just get an email and wonder what it is. So that's coming, and that's part of the important effort that we have going on here at the school. And I really want to thank a number of our, Elaine and also Ms. Hartman, who put the survey portions of it together on the website, but our community partners. We have some very dedicated people here, some of which serve locally in the communities. Chief Plunkett from Baldwin EMS has been just a fantastic partner. Kim Finnery, who's also a colleague, board member of yours, is, she's president of our Executive Advisory Council. And the work that's been done with the group has been very, very helpful. So that's coming out this week. And the COVID-19 report is in there. Again, the updated student report. Our enrollment numbers are actually holding pretty well for this time of year, especially given what we have. We still have about 140 students that have not stepped foot in the building this year that have maintained their full remote status. I would expect that to change before the end of the year, quite honestly. And that's all I wanted to report or point out from your joint operating committee brief. Thank you.
Other business joint operating committee business action items. 13.1, 13.2.
Well, I'll make a motion to elect Wayne Perry as board treasurer for a term of 1 year, beginning July 1st.
Second that motion.
Mr. Giglio,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Tashwire,
Yes.
Mr. Stoffer,
Yes.
Mr. Perry,
Yes.
Ms. Legaros,
yes,
Mrs. Downer,
Yes.
Mrs. Stelnick. Yes. And Mrs. Harris.
Yes. Kevin, did I miss anything?
Action, we have to reinforce the secretary. Just so you know that this is something every 4 years. It's
Right.
PSBA legally has to do that. And so currently it's me, but I won't be serving to June 30th, 2025. So I'll tell you that.
I'll make the motion and say that she can't retire until.
I'll second it.
So we have to, appoint a board secretary tonight.
Yeah, it's just a legal thing on
Formality.
state, if it's the PSBA that requires it, or if it's the state. I don't know, but it's a legal thing to do for 4 years. And when you get your new secretary, then you'll just appoint her to continue the 4 years.
So we don't have to.
Or him, it could be a him. Yeah, I'm sorry. Did you second it, or were you? I thought it.
Roger did.
Oh, there was. Okay. Mr. Giglio,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Dashwan,
Yes.
Mr. Stopper,
Yes.
Mr. Terry,
Yes.
Ms. Legaros,
yes,
Ms. Downer,
Yes.
Mrs. Stelnick,
Yes.
and Mrs. Harris.
Yes. Visitors' comments?
Well, we have Mr. Lucarelli from the AIE here. Who runs our business offices. I think we have been talking about the financial transition. Are you confident that we'll be able to make everything work out between here and July 1st when you no longer have to do anything?
As I sit today, yes.
We had a conversation right before you stepped in, and I'm in favor of getting things done. And I heard Kevin sit there and say that he doesn't have what he needs from the AIU. And now that we have the president of the board of the AIU sitting here, and then we have the finance director sitting right here, let's communicate right now. Let's get this taken care of. What is it that you need, Mr.
Well, as I mentioned, we just have a couple of open issues. One of them is with records, just transfer of records that I believe we're gonna work through. I didn't believe that we won't be able to work through them, but just, as of this evening, they're the three items that we need.
But the indication was that you asked for these quite a while ago, and you still haven't gotten.
Well, I said that we had discussed this in March, we had a meeting in March, and then it's still an open issue.
Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware, I'm only aware of one issue that I think Center still has, and that's related to the summer pay for their employees, for those that, push their wages through July and August. That's the only concern I'm aware of, which I think was addressed a couple of different times pretty concisely by our attorney, Joe Shawless, as recent as, I believe, last week. I know before that, prior to that, we had some questions back and forth with respect to options. Unfortunately, given the lateness of us being the Still Center team and the AI team finding out that the summer pay item existed in the CBA, we just couldn't provide, we couldn't test our Oracle application in time. It just presented challenges that we did not want to impact our staff as well as we do the payroll for Duquesne City School District staff. I think in hindsight, had we had some more time and planning, we probably could have come up with different options. Monday morning quarterback, I sit here and say that we've looked at that option. We do not believe it's feasible. Pragmatically, we believe there's issues that were outlined too, whether or not staff that would depart for summer may not be around to collect their paycheck as well. So, but that's the only issue I'm aware of. All the other issues, I think, although aren't finalized, don't represent what I would characterize as an issue for us moving forward on the timeline that we're on.
All the files and data gonna smoothly move over?
Well, they'll have access. So it depends on, what when an employee, so the Still Center employees from a Department of Labor and from an IRS perspective look like AIU employees because they're on our EIN number. So when they get a W-2, it doesn't say Still Center, it says the Allegheny Intermediate. So what we do when an employee leaves our organization is we give them access to our Oracle site where they can get all of their pay receipts, their previous W-2s, and there's a HR practice in place for us to educate the employees when they leave. That information also exists in our e-finance system, the previous system that we came from. Now, any records that we have, our HR department is evaluating because technically the Still Center employees are ours. how we would either retain those originals or provide access to Still Center. So we're not going anywhere. So if any of the employees need anything from us, we'll be there to assist.
Well, I think that my concern is you have all the data in the file finder now, and these guys are gonna have to start doing what you do. Will the information you send them allow them to do that, or are they gonna have to rebuild that system?
They're going to have to rebuild the system that they're going to. So that will, that's needed just to do the parallel testing in June, I believe. Still Center, Parkway, Chris Hamilton will be doing a parallel payroll test June 15th and June 30th to validate that their configuration and their setup of the system is accurate. But as far as any of the information they need to configure and set that system up, they will have all that information.
The seamless transition, or there are a lot of manual stuff in there?
There's nothing seamless when you do a transition.
That's why.
You cannot plan early enough for this.
Yeah.
In my experience, I've done multiple system implementations and conversions. The AIU just recently went through one where, as we were going through it, now granted, our application is it's a single platform, very robust from beginning to end so it's a much more rigorous application. It took us over a year to implement. Okay, so porting over about 50 plus employees onto an existing system should not be difficult. Recognizing that Chris Hamilton has that system in place at Parkway, it's really just differentiating and partitioning the application to keep separate Parkway's records from Still Center's records. But it still is it's a lift.
But it's not that many employees.
No.
In the
Well,
scheme.
we're not gonna be embedded in Parkway system. We have our own freestanding account with CSIU. We actually began implementation of that for our staffing 2 years ago with migrating some of our HR functions over. So every one of our employees already has a login. They've had a login for their third year to CSIU. We're just adding functions to it. But we're not embedded in Parkway's financial system. We're separate and independent. But we just need some of the data, again, I mentioned to Mr. Zatrard, because it is an open issue. The only one, as Mr. Lucarelli indicated, that, seems to be at an impasse we've run into is this
It
payroll.
just sounded to me like there was a lack of communication.
Yeah.
Didn't it sound like that to you? Yeah. So now that we're all here together, we can communicate.
I can address that. I mean, I don't believe there's any lack of communication on our part. So if it's been characterized in any manner, I have not heard about it.
That's why I brought
From
it up.
Still Center.
That's why I
Correct.
brought it up.
I know that since June 3rd, I believe, 2020, when we received a notification from Mr. Rice for notification termination, that we have reached out on multiple occasions to get the process moving. Unfortunately, we didn't get the process moving from, the two parties until March, I think 29th of this year, which really doesn't, give us much time to tease out some of those issues that could arise. They may seem small, but when you really do a system implementation, the small ones are usually the ones that, you end up spending more time, especially when they relate to somebody's paycheck.
Visitors' comments? And the meeting will adjourn, and the next meeting will be Tuesday, June 1st, 2021.
I'll move it, Eugene. How about that?
Second.
Second.
You need, Lane, you let me know when we can start. Oh, what's the way? There's lots of food that could be eaten in the meantime.
That's a good.
Okay.
So good.
You all ready? It's advert, it says on here 8 PM. Can we start early? I don't think it was
It
advertised.
does say 8 PM. Elaine, did you get any comments? Anybody interested in attending the meeting? Who plans to be here at 8?
Oh, no, nobody's attending. If they are, they're on the, there are no,
There's no commenters that
Yeah.
wants to comment.
Do we advertise at the specific time or do we say it's following? Following.
we say following.
Okay, so we can start. Okay, good. I would like to. I don't want to sit around here for that. I call to order the May 4th Joint Operating Committee for the Southeast Area Special School District. Have a roll call, please.
Giglio,
Here.
Cashwire,
Here.
Mrs. Harris. Here. Boffer,
Here.
Ms. Johnson. Mr. Perry.
Here.
Ms. Maderos,
Here.
Mrs. Downer,
Here.
Mrs. Stelnick. Here. And Mr. Scott.
Here. We have a forum. I believe you said, Elaine, that there were no comments submitted. Is that correct?
And it is on the Steel Center website.
So public comment was to be given by phone or email, and we didn't get any, so there. I have no precedence for March other than that it was excellent food again tonight. Thanks to Steel Center for that. I need a motion to approve the minutes from April 6, 2021. So moved.
Second.
Any comments or corrections? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Under financial action items, I need a motion to approve items 5.1 to 5.3. So moved. The motion is made by Mr. McMillan, second by Mr. Perry. Any questions or comments on that? Hearing none, could I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Giglio,
Yes.
Mr. Cashwire,
Yes.
Mrs. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Stofford,
Yes.
Mr. Perry,
Yes.
Ms. Maderos,
Yes.
Mrs. Downer,
Yes.
Mrs. Stelnick. Yes. And Mr. Scott.
Yes, the motion carries. Principals report, Dr. Dowell.
Several update items. I guess first, just to put a note in your calendar, the graduation will be June 8th at 7 PM. You're certainly all welcome to attend. I will get a formal invitation out to you probably later this week. Gigantic graduating class this year, 22 students, which is the biggest that I've ever
I
seen
have a
in four.
question. If a person has been there for a while and they're graduates leaving this year, will they be part of that? Will they be part of the graduation? Like the student might be 20 or 21 this year?
Yeah, they will be considered graduating this year then. So we plan on doing an in-person ceremony, but streaming it so that we'll limit guests in there. But it's going to be, we got a lot of them this year. It is, if you've never seen it, it is a very different ceremony, but very kind of poignant and moving. And I encourage it if anybody's welcome to attend. And like I said, I'll get you a formal invitation probably late this week or early next week. We had multiple positive COVID cases last week, which necessitated a shutdown for us. We were closed for in-person on Monday and Tuesday. Come back into in-person tomorrow. I don't know if everybody's district is seeing the same thing. We're seeing a spike more than we have at any other point during the year, at least for us. So I think we have some concerns with that of what we're doing and how we're doing it, how that's going to affect the summer, how that's going to affect next year. But we're looking at it and trying to formulate as we kind of go. Those are the two big reports I have.
Thank you. We have no items for action under facilities. Dave, did you have anything you wanted to say?
No, not really. I asked Chris earlier
Yeah.
about whether they would start the payment for the last week.
would like to do some, but with the COVID compensatory services we have to add this year, plus ESY. I don't know if we're gonna have time to strip classrooms, but if time presents itself and I'm able to, I'd like to be able to at least get a couple rooms carpeted and painted if that's possible.
All right, AIU, Mr. Lucarelli, you're the representative. You have any report on that?
No report this evening.
Well, very good. Superintendent of record, Dr. Luck.
That's just a quick, not necessarily a response, but just reaction to what Mr. McDowell, Dr. McDowell was saying was, yeah, the spike is just crazy. I mean, the 13 to 18-year-olds, I'm sure you're seeing it with your older, by the older ones as well, is significantly higher. So it just seems a little strange that we keep getting information about the reduction of mitigation efforts and things are moving in an opposite direction by like May 31st, but yet we're precariously close to shutting like all the high school down again because, sorry, Joe, because of number of cases. It just, we had, of all things, we had 2 sets of twins just this week. Must have been a twin party out there. The numbers are really, they're coming in fast and furious with that particular age group. But it's tough because life in most other places has opened up. I mean, Joe's daughter and my daughter, his daughter's playing ball, my daughter's coaching ball now. We were down at the convention center a couple of weeks ago, and there must have been, I'm sure there were 5,000 to 8,000 people in that convention center indoors, but yet across the river and BNC Park and all that, put that many people. So it just seems like there's a lot of confusion in society, and I don't know what the answer is, but good news is there's no limits. It looks like all the limits for all your commencement ceremonies are going to be lifted by the end of the month, and so you can pretty much do what you want to around commencement. So that looks like it's heading in the right direction, I think, for outdoor stuff. So that's a tough time of year.
Well,
That's all.
all right, solicitors report. Very good. Any other informational items, Dr. Dahl? Okay, we do have some other business. We need to elect Wayne Perry as board treasurer. Would someone make that motion?
I would make that one.
Roger Tashwar made that motion, seconded by Mrs. Thomas. Do you accept this?
Yes.
Okay.
On the pressure, right?
Any questions or comments on that? Do we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Giglio,
Yes.
Mr. Cashwire,
Yes.
Mrs. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Stoffer,
Yes.
Mr. Perry,
Yes.
Ms. Legaros,
yes,
Downer,
Yes.
Mrs. Stelnick,
Yes.
and Mr. Scott.
Yes. Congratulations,
Thank you.
Wayne.
Thank you. I'll endeavor to do the same job.
Very good. And we'll double your salary. We need to approve the reappointment of Elaine Trumbaugh as board secretary for a term of 4 years beginning July 1, 2021 to June 30, 2025. Do I have a motion to do so?
Second.
Mrs. DeLeon, seconded by Mr. Perry. Questions or comments? We can only hope that she might stay through her whole term.
Yes.
I have a roll call.
No, because there's new duties coming and I already have. No.
You don't want it, okay.
Mr. Giglio,
Yes.
Mr. Cashwire,
Yes.
Mrs. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Stoffer,
Yes.
Mr. Perry,
Yes.
Ms. Legaros,
yes,
Mrs. Downer,
Yes.
Mrs. Stelnick,
Yes.
and Mr. Scott.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, Elaine, for your continued service as board secretary.
Well, you're gonna have me around for a little while.
I know.
Through the transition, so you're gonna get rid of me that quick.
We don't want to anyways. Any visitor comments? I guess that's you, Dave. No? Okay. Any other questions, comments, Nigel Marks? If not, could I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Stallings, second by Mr. Perry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are done. Good job. This might be a record.
Both anyway.
7:45 and both meetings are done.
It's like Kevin Fisher's back on his board, isn't it? Like, he used to push hard too. They're back in those days.
All right, thank you, everyone. Our next meeting is June 1st.
Thank you.
All right, see you next month in person.
Take care.